What's happening, everybody? This is the Pensive Brothers podcast. This is Aaron.
And this is Elliot.
Hope everybody out there is having a fantastical day,
Fantastical.
week, month, year, all that.
Existence.
Yeah,
century.
yeah. We've been a little hit and miss on dropping content. And I apologize.
Who's we?
You, me, the pod. But we are back, and we're going to be more consistent starting today.
We said that the last time.
We did.
But we really mean it.
We mean it. Like, we're back.
This time, we really mean it.
Yeah, yeah. It's been, I'm not going to lie, it's been a crazy couple of weeks, you guys.
Yeah,
so,
it's been wild. It's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. We're not going to go political today. We're going to have some fun.
Oh.
But just so everyone knows, we're all probably going to die.
I mean, there is a 100% chance that is going to occur.
Russia is off the coast of Florida. We are fighting. Well, we're still fighting a shadow war in Africa, but let alone the proxy war that we got going on in Ukraine and Israel and now Russia and Syria and Yemen.
Oh, we're disguising ourselves in aid trucks and murdering people.
Well, yeah. So just know we need to pray, and I hope that you guys are saving up enough money to go on vacation before boomers destroy the environment and
to be fair, it's
blow
not
all our selves.
It's not just the boomers. I mean, we're all destroying the environment.
We are. But the moral of the story is, if you have not, go to Jamaica. So,
I don't think that's the moral of the story.
It is.
But moving on.
It's the moral of my story.
I see.
Every adult should go to Jamaica. Jamaica is a beautiful place that everyone needs to go to, including you. So, I need you to go to Jamaica.
I've been there.
You ain't been to Jamaica.
Sure I have. In my dreams.
In your dreams?
That's right. It's good enough for me.
No.
I've been to lots of tropical locations. I think I'm good.
You have?
Yes.
I know you went to the Bahamas and Mexico, but...
Yes, that's plenty.
That's only 2.
How many do I need to go?
And what other
I live next to Virginia Beach.
And what other context? Virginia Beach is not tropical. Don't play with me.
Hey, listen.
And what other context?
These temperatures, I can't tell.
It's 2 lots. You said I've been to lots.
I mean...
If I have lots of money, do I have $2?
If you've been assaulted, like if Mike Tyson has punched you in the face twice and you're not a boxer, that's a lot of times to get punched by Mike Tyson.
No, it's not. I'm just saying. He only punched you twice.
You might not survive the second time.
Go look at that fight between Mike Tyson and Jose Rebalta. He punched him like 590 times.
I did specifically say not a boxer. Now, if you're a boxer,
okay,
you got a better chance of not dying.
Well, you need to go to Jamaica. There's just beautiful things there and delicious foods, and just everything there is great. I mean, the water is so blue, it's crazy. If you got let's take this off ramp. If you guys have not taken the time to save up some money and go on a real vacation, you guys need to do that, because there's something special. There's something special about looking at how blue the water is supposed to look. Can you imagine how blue the water probably was before? Like industrialization, and how blue the water probably was everywhere.
I mean,
it probably was bluer.
Can you imagine what everything looked like before industrialization, though?
Yeah,
because I will argue that you like tropical locations. I like mountains. So there is nothing like driving on a wide open road and staring and seeing a mountain that conceptually it doesn't look that big, but the more you drive, you're just like, bro, it has not changed shape. But it just keeps getting bigger, and then you get closer and closer, and then you're looking up at it, and you're like, this thing is bigger than anything I've ever seen in my entire existence.
A couple years back, you might remember, me and Julio went to Denver. Mm-hmm. We went to a Broncos game in Denver, and so we flew out there. We spent like 4 days in Denver, and we did everything that we could get our hands on out there. And I remember we went to see Bill Burr in concert at the Red Rock.
Bill Burr's hilarious.
Bill Burr's he's my favorite white comedian. He's hilarious. Everything, because I've seen him live 2 or 3 times now. But they have this Red Rock amphitheater that's literally a amphitheater built into the side of a mountain. If you guys want to see it, Google the Red Rock amphitheater in Colorado.
What you're talking about, because we went to the Red Rock Canyons.
Yes,
and saw the you're driving through and it's just layers.
It's just stairs. It's
crazy.
And it's crazy. You gotta walk up 1,000 stairs to get up there. But when we were driving to the amphitheater, the Rockies were right there. Mm-hmm. So on the way out there, all you see is mountain, everywhere. And you can't conceptualize how big a actual mountain is. Not a hill, not even a small mountain, a little one.
No.
You can't conceptualize how big a mountain is until you get up against the mountain and you really look up at it. It's not like what you see on TV. It was unbelievable.
And it kind of puts into perspective those people who really like to rock climb mountains, because I'm thinking about, okay, you have spent something like 2 days just walking and climbing and walking.
Prepping your, like, the amount of time it probably takes you to get to the top of these giant mountains, like the people that climb like Everest and stuff.
Right.
Like, you guys,
and
you're
spending years just practicing climbing mountains and sleeping,
working on your breathing,
right?
Like prepping the food and getting yourself in shape enough to do it. People die.
Yeah, putting yourself in low oxygen environment so you can, still function without enough air.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah,
but so I don't just travel to tropical locations. I like them for the cruises, but like the cruise we're going on next year, that one's going to Dubai. So, it's Dubai. If these countries are still there, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, all that. So going to the Mediterranean, over there, Arab world.
Hey, listen, I need us to stop causing chaos everywhere.
We're not going to stop. My plan is, this is my plan. I'm going to travel to as many countries as I can
before they're destroyed.
Before they all get destroyed, or climate change takes us all out, or it gets too hot to go to the Middle East. Right?
I don't think climate change is a short-term problem.
I don't either, but it hasn't been a short-term issue. It's been going on for a long time. Like, it really got bad like World War II time, but like,
I gotta get like a bell or something when I get ready to go into a conspiracy theory. Like, I need like
yeah.
Like a conspiracy gong and just hit the gong.
We have a bell in the other room in there that Julia bought in Vegas that says "Ding for Sex." If you want to get that, and you can just.
I am absolutely not getting your ding for sex bell.
No, we don't use it. She just bought it and thought it was funny. We don't use it. Like, I don't need to ring a bell for that. Just ask like a normal person. Right?
Anyway, there is an island just north of Antarctica called Bouvet Island. And if you start looking around on Google Earth, you will notice that there are several islands that are south of Africa and Europe and South America that have just really weird things going on with them. One thing is in 2017, lots of these islands just disappear from Google Earth for about 3 years and then they reappear.
What?
With no explanation. You can see them before 2017. You can see them after 2020. But for those 3 years, Google blacked them out so you couldn't see them.
Why do you know that?
Because I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what's going on in the world.
Wait, you said that the island that's still there now,
the island wasn't still
showing on Google Earth.
It was not showing on Google Earth. Other people are,
but it's showing now, so who cares?
Okay, I'll tell you who cares. Since 2020, we have had lots of very odd warming patterns in the southern hemisphere's waters. Specifically, a lot of these islands that disappeared for those 3 years now have large blobs of warm water that radiate out from the island. Now, generally, the ocean has hot spots and cold spots, but it's swirling. It will be big circles. It does not move in straight lines because nature does not function in straight lines. Most of the time, if you have a ripple in a pond, it goes out in a circle. So for a straight line of warm water to come off of an island is very weird. And
you think that that's like some type of man-made something? We don't know what, but something.
Because generally, if it were natural, if you look at all the natural patterns that occur all the other times, they move in big swirls like this.
Yeah.
This is going whoop, whoop, and it
like almost mechanical.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and there are multiple islands where this sort of thing is happening. And
this is the type of thing, you guys. This is the type of thing that requires you to put away $40 a pay period so you can go on a cruise. Because if you don't, that island is going to disappear and you're never going to get the chance to see it.
I mean, lots of things might disappear.
Yeah, they're saying Florida and New Orleans are going to go underwater.
Well, and so my question is, why do we have islands that are creating warming patterns and then everybody's like global warming? No, like, what is that?
People aren't saying global warming anymore. They're saying climate change.
People are saying climate change. I apologize.
Well, global warming is just statistically inaccurate because other things are happening. It's not just that. That's not
my point. Is if we have things that we are actively doing that are warming waters,
which we do
north of Antarctica,
correct?
Actively. I don't mean like, hey, we did something and then that was a consequence. I mean there is a station, outpost, scientific research center, whatever you want to call it, that is creating warm waters. We should probably stop doing that until we figure out what's going on with climate change.
Have you considered becoming a multi-billionaire who can affect policy?
Oh, I've considered it.
Okay. Well, until you do that, no.
I mean,
that's the answer.
Do you know how to become a billionaire?
Have you considered getting an $8 million loan from your father?
I did try that. He said no.
You could sue a 7-figure company and then invest the money in the stock market.
You need a lot of money to sue people, though.
Dang it. Okay. You could become a congressman.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And then do insider trading.
I'd have to sell out, though. I kind of like my morals. They keep me spiritually.
We running out of options here, sir.
And listen,
okay, the only other option that I have is you can prostitute yourself. And you could come up with like a really catchy name, something that rhymes, like Hubba Bubba or something. And then,
Hubba Bubba?
Whatever. I'm just giving you options. And then
I'm pretty sure that's trademark.
You would facts. Yeah, we're screwed.
Yeah.
So back to the cruise option.
I mean, I guess go on vacation till the world ends is the only option.
So anyway, let's get into what we're actually talking about today. Which is we're gonna go back years ago to our childhood here.
Back in the time.
So I was telling Halia, like, okay, so one thing that I do is I have this habit of every time it's really nice weather outside, I call mom. And the reason why I do that is because there's a particular day, it's still like burned into my head from when we were living in a hosky.
Justice calls those core memories.
Is that what that is? Maybe that's what that is. So I'm gonna tell you guys. When I was a kid, mom had a do you remember that house that she had that had the 2 lines of trees? Like you could go in between the trees. I think this is the greenhouse. No, not the greenhouse. The greenhouse.
It was the one before that.
Yeah, it was the one over there across the street from Pop-Up's house.
Yeah, where we had the schnauzer for a little while.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I think
because it was a pecan tree.
Yeah,
and there was like a garage or something in the back or a shed.
No. Like I remember. Okay, you got the house here, and then you had like the line of the actual tree line in the very back, right? That was like the forest, and then there was an area in front of those trees. And then another line of trees. It was almost like a pathway back there.
Oh, you're definitely talking about the greenhouse.
You remember that?
It was like a forest back here and a forest back here.
Yeah, but you could get between them.
Yes, and there was a line of trees that was like on this side, but it was like landscape trees almost.
Yeah. So you remember the clothesline?
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. For the non-country people, mom had a clothesline back there.
Clothesline is where you hang your clothes.
It's where you hang your clothes after you wash them if you don't have a dryer. Or, like our grandmother, you have a perfectly working dryer, but you don't want to use it or allow anyone to even hook it up because it wastes electricity. So,
I mean, she's not wrong. I mean, clothesline.
Waste? You're using the dryer to dry the clothes. Is it a waste?
You're working on margins. Might be.
They ain't working on no margins. Anyway. Okay. So the point is, one particular day that I remember, mom had all these clothes on the line, but she had this big old blanket, big old comforter on the line. And mom was just back there by herself. And I walk up to her and she's like, oh, I just love, it was a beautiful day outside. It was like 70 degrees and windy and it was sunny. And she said, I just love getting the fresh clothes off the line. And then she was like, doesn't it just smell so fresh? It's so much better than the dryer. Come here. And she like pushes the blanket in my face. Right. And I start laughing and the blanket's all, she like wrapped me in the blanket a little bit. But then I smelled the blanket, and the blanket smelled like fresh like breeze. And like that memory of mine, every time I walk outside and it's nice outside,
that's what
I'm like, oh man, it almost makes me want to get a clothesline just to put the blanket on there, just to do that.
I mean, there is so,
and I'm Mr. Nostalgia. You know that.
I do know that. There is something to be said for sun-dried outside clothes. The way that they smell, because the sun disinfects them just like one step further than it does when they're in the dryer. So there is something to be said for how your clothes
and they're air drying, right? You got the breeze, and it's not like
flip side. Everything is like sun bleached. So
and there's also
bugs
and birds and everything.
Yeah, that is also kind of
whatever bacteria, whatever's outside.
Yeah,
it's all over your
clothes. You better hope nobody's cutting grass and it's just floating around.
And we have lots of trees.
Yeah,
so
constant pollen.
But there's also something about it. Yeah. And I think it's only something about it because it's something that we lived through, we went through, and it reminds me, when our parents separated, it was a rough time.
Yeah.
But, me and Halil were just talking about this yesterday. The memories that I have that are the good ones are the ones that make me remember it wasn't so bad. And that's one of those memories where we were at mom's house and mom was just in a good mood. It was nice outside.
And it was just a good day.
It was just pretty. It was just a great day. Everything was awesome. And on the other side of dad's house, some of the good memories I have, you remember we were living with mom, but we would go back to dad's house like every week
and hang out.
And me and dad were just laughing about this. Dad was taking us everywhere we were living at mom's house. Bro. So every time he was like, no, it's just I only had y'all for the weekend. So like I gotta do stuff.
Right.
Because I ain't gonna see y'all for 5 days. I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So he said he would wait all week and be like, okay, we going to the movies on Friday, and we're gonna take them to this restaurant, and we're gonna get up Saturday, and we're going to a museum, and then we're gonna go out to dinner, and then we're going to church.
That's really what happened.
Like
too.
it was like every weekend we was going somewhere. We went bowling like 100 times.
We did.
We went to the movies like 100 times. We went, and I was telling Leah, this is why we was talking about this. We were talking about taking our own kid to a museum one day.
Children's museum, maybe.
Yeah, and I was telling her how big a part of our lives going to museums were.
Yeah.
Like, you remember how many zoos and museums?
Well, so I think for me, I remember all of those museum trips because that really was where my interest in reading and where my interest in like research and stuff
and learning.
Came from.
Yeah.
Because when I would go to a museum and I would see like, okay, there are 400 different kinds of mineral rocks. So now I'm like, okay, what are all these? Why are there so many different ones? What are they? Why? What makes them different? Why are they different colors? Why are they different shapes? Like, why is bismuth come out like that? It just comes out shaped like that.
Right.
So, like, seeing it, getting exposed to all of that stuff in an environment where, one, there were sometimes people you could ask questions so you could get more information.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's my favorite.
The worker that actually knows everything. The section they're working
they're just standing there, just learning, or they're the person who, like, curates all this stuff.
Waiting on nerdy kids like us.
Yes.
To care enough
to ask questions, bro.
Because our parents, one thing that I'll give them, you know, and me and Halia talk about this a lot, is they cultivated an environment where learning is good.
Right.
They cultivated an environment where it made us feel as though, no, you are smart and that is a good thing. Yeah. You're not a nerd. No, you are doing what you're supposed to do.
Which is learn about the world.
You're asking, you're curious, and you are retaining the information.
Because to this day, I can't believe Mom let me keep that beetle.
I know.
She bought me a terrarium.
Bro, I was just talking to Mike about that.
She bought me a terrarium and let me keep this this beetle had to be maybe this big.
Yeah, it was massive. Remember the big chompers?
Yes, bro. It was like a...
if you had it in your hand as a kid, it was like almost your whole hand. We were kids. It was giant. Yes. It was a big beetle.
It was humongous.
And she really let you have that thing?
Yeah, she was like, yeah, I guess you can keep it.
And remember,
she bought me a terrarium.
You found that?
Yes.
I thought she bought you that.
No, it was outside on the porch.
That giant thing, you picked it up?
And I put it in a jar. And you know, I was not a bug guy. I didn't like bugs.
I missed all of that.
Yes. It was outside. And I only remember because I saw it and I was like, what in the world is that? And then I thought
that I remember the box had a blue top, right?
Yes.
A clear plastic box
and
with a blue top.
Yep.
I thought she just bought that for you. I was like, how come you get a pet? I don't get no pet.
No, I found it, and that's why she let me keep it. And if you remember, right after that, we got a cat.
We did.
Because you complained about not getting a pet.
That's crazy, because I didn't know that. Okay. You killed it, though.
I did.
Because it was alive outside, and then you brought it inside, and it died.
And then it died, yeah.
You had it for a little bit. It's not like you died.
I did. It was a couple of months. Maybe
it was finished living, though. It might have lived its life. I don't know.
Maybe. It might have been an old beetle when I found it. But that kind of taught me a lesson about capturing things from nature and putting it in a box so I could look at it. Like, that
Maybe you shouldn't do that. Yeah.
Literally, that was what I took from that, because I couldn't figure out how to keep it alive because it didn't seem like it wanted to eat.
Yeah, because you were putting stuff in there.
I was feeding it. I was giving it stuff it was supposed to eat.
You were giving it like sticks with stuff on it too. You were trying all type of stuff.
We got crickets from the fishing shop right up the street because they sold bait and stuff. So I bought some crickets and I put them in there. He ate like 1 or 2 of those, and then after about 2 months, he died.
It's so sad.
It is.
I mean, but it's a bug. Like, let's not.
Right. We don't want to carry it.
Let's not belabor it.
I wasn't murdering kittens. Okay. But even still, I think a lot of those opportunities that I had as a kid that were just like weird and random, like I look back at that stuff because you learn different kinds of lessons from different kinds of stuff. And the I don't know. I feel like a lot of times it would be nice if more people were more actively contextualizing things for the kids around them. Because I feel like people go through stuff and then they tell me the story and I'm like, it's weird that that's the lesson you took from that experience, because the way that you're telling me that story, that's not the lesson I think I would have taken from that experience.
Isn't that the conversation you and Eric were having on the way to Mom's a couple weeks ago, where all 3 of us will talk about the same day, the same situation,
and all of us get something different from it.
We got something different. We reacted at the time differently.
Yeah.
And we really view it like our mindsets.
Yeah.
And it was a very interesting conversation, because like I will look at an objective situation and then Eric was saying like, oh, this is what I think, this is what I would do, this is what I say. And I was just like, man, that never went through my mind. Right. Like I never even...
That's not even tangential to the way that I was viewing that situation.
And it it also we are. I say all the time, we are a factor of our environment, right?
Yeah.
We are conditioned by the things that we see and the way that our brain
interacts with those things.
And Halia asked me a lot about like addiction, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell her, like, our brains react to things the way that our brains react to it. So some people's reaction to, for example, drugs, their brain will say, I don't like that. Like me.
Yeah.
I don't like the way it smells, or I don't like the way it tastes, or I don't like that. I don't like what it does to you. So that'll make me say, I'm not even going to try it. Where a lot of people, their brain will say, no, I really like that. Give me more of that.
Right.
Like, our brains kind of react to, now you have free will, you can make choices, but our brains react to things in front of us, how it reacts. And it's actually a very interesting thing when you start thinking about it.
Yeah, because I mean, physically, your body is just a biological machine. Now, there is like a you that is piloting the body in the background, but like, it's just like your car. There is like a range of things you can do to your car where it'll still work.
Right.
And like the car is trashed, okay? Like you don't change the oil for years and years and years. The car might still run, but it ain't gonna run well. Your gas mileage is gonna be trash. So like it's gonna be a whole lot of stuff that goes wrong if you don't actually properly care for the thing the way it's designed to be cared for.
Right.
And I think a lot of times your body is the same way. And the unfortunate thing about living in America is like a lot of our systems are specifically designed so that you don't take care of your body in specific ways.
Yeah.
Your mental health or your physical health, or even
especially your mental health.
Even like socially. I was thinking about the other day how atomized we are societally, and like people come from other places, and like extended family. We're lucky because our extended family is pretty close. Like we know all of our cousins and second cousins on both sides of our family pretty well. Like we talk to them, we interact.
Well, that I think is a regional thing, because in the South you have a lot of reunions.
That
stuff like that.
That is true, but even in the South, so a lot of people don't get to their extended family like that. Like they move away.
They're married to them.
That's wild. That's wild. Anyway, I mean, I guess that is
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm just playing with y'all, Alabama. Don't play with me.
Why are you calling out my name? You wildin'. Right. Anyway, like the what you see on TV, what a lot of people kind of receive from Hollywood, and what seems to be pushed is no, it's mom, dad, and kids. And like that's really the family. When like historically, universally, every other country, that is not how they operate.
Right.
You can't really run a community if you're just doing mom, dad, and kids.
Right. Because that's where the saying, it takes a village.
It takes a village because it literally takes a village of people all cooperating together to actually raise functional, cooperative.
But I think
societally,
I think before we get back to another
viable
core memory,
human beings.
I have another core memory to talk about.
Oh, snap.
I think that it does kind of, like you were saying, being atomized, it does help the system if you separate us out. All of us have to pay for everything individually.
Yeah.
Like there is no collective, right?
Yeah. And I think it makes it easier to control.
Right.
It feels like it always comes back to money and control with a lot of this nonsense.
Yeah.
But anyway, you said you had a core memory.
Yeah. I have another one. Now, every core memory at mom's house, I have one that also connects us back to dad's house. But
because you're even-handed in your memory making?
I try to be. Even-handedness is going to be a huge part of who I am for the rest of my life. But no, you remember, do you remember that convenience store next door to mom's house?
Yes, I do. That had the video game in it that I would
play. The Bomber Jack?
Yes.
So our mom lived, this is a different house. This isn't.
Nope, it was a greenhouse.
No, it was the greenhouse. It was the greenhouse. So mom, we call it the greenhouse. The house was green. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
But basically, our mom lived in this house, right? It was a great time there. You remember the black and white TV on the floor?
Yes, I do.
Remember that was the biggest TV in the house.
Yes, the big wooden one.
Yes, and it would just sit there.
And we had to go and change it. Literally,
you had to change the remote.
So you got to walk up to the bad boy, and there's a dial on it.
You remember there was only like 8 channels.
Yes.
Like the other TV in the living room was color, but it didn't. It had all the stations, but it was smaller.
Yes.
And if mom wanted to watch that TV, you wanted black and white TV.
Correct.
But anyway,
you had it was like 5, 10, 13. And 27.
That was
33.
Right. Maybe 43.
And maybe
remember
43.
Fox was 43.
Yeah.
So anyway, God, we're old.
We are. Because kids now don't know what the basic TV stations are. Nobody uses them.
It's the fact that we even remember that is crazy. Anyway.
They haven't changed.
When we were kids.
They're just digital.
Mom lived in this greenhouse. And next door, literally next door, like not like down the street, but next door, there was a little tiny convenience store. It was like It wasn't like 7-Eleven though.
Nah.
It was smaller than that. It was like half of a 7-Eleven.
If you've ever been to like any of those country gas station type stores,
yeah,
they sell bait and they sell like gas station food.
They sell sandwiches and they sell, you can get you some oil.
It's like a bodega.
Kind of like a bodega.
It's kind of like a bodega,
but a country version.
Yeah.
So like you could go in there and get you a bacon, egg, and cheese bagel that's cooked and on a warmer,
and they be good too.
But you can also go in there and buy beers,
and
all the normal stuff. So Mom used to let us walk over there whenever, right? And we just all you had to do is walk right up to the street. There was a line of trees that was almost like a fence on Mom's house,
and you could just walk.
That went all the way up to the street. So you had to walk up Mom's driveway to the street and then go right back, basically next door, right there. And we would go in that convenience store. They had a free arcade game in there
called Bomber Jack,
and we used to just go in there and we would just play and it was like a one button with a directional thing. Yes. I don't remember much.
It's a very old game, and literally because I think the way it worked is you like ran around and you plant the bombs and then the thing was chasing you.
Yeah, you were trying to blow it up or
something like that.
But we would do that, and I Mr. Nostalgia, okay. I remember I used to go in there and I would always get a fudge round. That was my snack of choice. And if it wasn't a fudge round, like if we weren't going sugar, I'm talking goldfish. But other than that,
I feel like I always got like chips or something.
I remember they had those chocolate chip granola bars, the off-brand ones.
Yeah,
but the soft ones though.
Yes.
So
and they would be so good, and he would sell them for like 5 cents or
5 cents.
It was like super cheap.
And now it's time to do shout outs to Dad.
Hey,
so along with Dad taking us out all the time, we would go back to Dad's house. Even when we moved in with Dad, we were living with Dad. We would go to Mom's house. We still go here. Dad would hook a brother up with his allowance
every time.
You remember the allowance?
$20.
Yeah, that's right. $20,
which was a whole lot of money back then.
And so you go to this convenience store where they selling fudge rounds for $0.25, and you got a $20 bill in your pocket.
You feel rich, bro.
Let me tell you something. Hood rich ain't the word. Because I like to say, this is when I learned how to start saving back then. Because I remember that time that Dad gave me my allowance, but I didn't touch the allowance from before.
And you was just like, I got twice as much money now.
I am a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old with $40, bro.
You got to understand.
Let me tell you something. I could have paid Mom's rent that day.
I never had this experience. So I learned the exact opposite lesson. I was like, no, what? I don't want to keep this. I want to spend this.
No.
Like, there's stuff I want.
Because the thing about me was, our parents went through a tough time.
Yeah.
After the separation and stuff. And they made through. They're fine. Yeah. But, they went through a tough time. They did. And we saw it, kind of. When they were together, we found out later that they were actually really poor. We didn't even know that.
Right.
Well, I didn't know that.
I was going to say I knew.
He might have known that.
I knew
that. But I didn't know that they were poor until they separated. But, seeing how hard they had it, I always said, when I get older, I don't want to struggle like this. I know that they want better for me, and I want better for me. That was always, my thing, because I saw them struggle. I saw Dad say, no, I got to make this money. He joined the military.
Yeah.
He did the police academy. Dad was doing what he had to do. Mom was doing medical stuff, working at office manager here, and then she was office. When she moved, then she moved to Hampton and all that. But I saw them, going through their 30s, going through their 40s. All right, now we're financially stable.
Right.
The stuff that they could have done in their 20s, but they weren't in that position to do it.
Yeah.
I always said, I know that that's what they want for us. So that's where that savings started for me. So I distinctly remember us going over to that convenience store nonstop.
Listen, I think about that convenience store a lot because a lot of times, now, I think back to that greenhouse and us walking over there because I specifically remember us walking over there. We played Bomber Jack for a little while. We bought our snack or whatever, and we came back to the house. Yeah. And we would come back to the house and I would draw, or at one point we got that computer over there, and that's when I started learning how to produce music because we got that computer, I think, from Mr. Joey.
Yeah, I think he was doing music at the time.
He was doing music, but it was his old computer or whatever, and it was there, and I was like, well, "What is FL Studios?" And I opened it.
Remember that.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? Mm-hmm. And I started playing around with it and I started making music. And that was the first time I had ever even thought about producing music. And I was like, oh no, this is what I really want to do. This is it.
That house is where I started learning how to cook.
Really?
Yes. Because Mom used to cook. I remember one time Mom burned some rice. and it wasn't even that bad. And Mom was so
distraught about it.
Like, it was almost like she felt like she disappointed us the way she was. I remember I still hear it. She yelled out, "Hey!" And she said it, and I felt so bad. Like, I still feel bad just saying that out loud. Because Mom was doing something else for us, but she was also cooking. And she burned her rice. And Mom was so like,
she was distraught about it because she was like, "Now you
got." I remember her eating it. We was at the table, we're eating. She's like, oh. And she just kept, I just burned all this rice. I can't believe I burned this rice. And I like, for me,
you was like, it's not even that big deal.
I was like, if I knew how to cook,
then
I would have helped her not burn this rice. And from there, that's when I started asking her, Mom, how'd you do that? Mom, how do you make this meatloaf? How do you make rice? What do you do with the canned vegetable? Like, you remember, I was like 8.
Yeah.
So, but that is where I started asking her, what goes in mashed potatoes? What goes like in the pot when you're trying to make stew? Like, so the reason why I cook so much now
is because you
started in a lot of ways in that house. Also in Virginia Beach, because
Ruby, when we
got there, Ruby, it was a culture shock. We was like, wait a minute,
we cooking
now. All the time? Like, you sure you don't want to just cook it all and clean it all? Like,
it was kind of a
she was like, no, come on. I remember she taught me how to cook eggs.
I remember that too, actually.
And she's like, come on in here. You like eggs, don't you? I was like, yeah. She's like, well, don't you think you need to know how to make them? And I was like,
I mean,
I guess when you put it like that, like, right? Sure. And she was like, okay. And so Mom cooked. So our mother, even now, I remember we went to her house a couple months on Mother's Day, and she was like, oh no, I'll get your plate.
And we was like, what are you doing? Why?
Because Helene will clean up after me, but like, we grew up with our dad and our stepmother, right? And they taught us the importance of self-sufficiency, right? Where I think Mom has more of that thought process of, no, these are my boys and I need to take care of my boys. They were thinking, nobody's going to take care of you when you get older. And I think that those two were a good balance that we really needed, because the nurturing piece of Mom saying, no, I got it. You relax. Let me take care of you,
because you come to appreciate that sometimes that is the energy required in a situation. It shouldn't always be that way, but like, there's a lot of times where Justice feels bad because I'm taking care of her, or vice versa, to be completely fair.
Right? Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't understand. You are sick today. Like,
sometimes I need to be the one saying, no, let me do it.
Right? Like, you need to let me handle this, because you are not in a position to handle this. And when the time comes where you're good and you can handle it, take it back. I don't want to do it. I'll let you cook. I know you like to cook. You have a specific way you want to do it. But like, if you're not in the position to do that, no, let me take care of it, because I'm capable. I can do it.
Right.
But we just have affinities for certain things. So if, like, I think being capable is different than like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I can't do that. So
yeah, just throw your hands up.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, there was always a value put on, hey, listen, like, you don't necessarily have to do this. You don't have to like doing it, but you need to know how to do it. Right. So if you're ever in a situation where there is nobody else there, which always happens when we was in college, like, bro, you had to figure out how to make your own struggle meals.
So that was
able to cook.
That was the thing me and Halia talk about, where she's like, so our childhoods were different.
Yeah.
And so in her childhood, she didn't have to cook much. Just wasn't a thing.
Can't even fathom it.
Right. And well, if we would have stayed with Mom the entire time, we probably wouldn't know how to cook.
Here's the wild thing. I don't even think that's true, because Jacob can cook.
Jacob didn't live with Mom though. Well, Grandma cooks.
I was about to say he would have
learned how to cook. But the thing is, I know I wouldn't cook as well if I wasn't in the situation that I was in. But like, so what we talk about, me and Halia talk about, is specifically, hey, I don't think that our kids should have to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, well, when I was a kid, I had to do X, Y, Z. Okay, so maybe we take the X off and leave the Y and Z, because the Y and Z might be necessary for them to learn. And she's like, no, I think we should do that because they're kids. They should relax. And I'm like, our parents, I've been saying this a lot lately. Our parents were hard on us because life is hard. And I think part of that hard might have been too far. I say that all the time. I told Dad that. Too far.
Too much.
But a lot of that, I think, now that I'm looking back, at the time we didn't like it, but now that I'm looking back, I'm like yesterday I sent that picture to the group chat of me cleaning the fridge. When we were kids, we had to clean the fridge every Friday. We take all the food out, take the shelves out, wash the shelves, put the shelves back, put the food back. Throw away the food that's bad. right? Because yes, things spill in the fridge. And I remember they used to say, you don't see this on the shelf? And I was like, yes. You don't think we should wipe that off? I guess we should. But Halia doesn't do that. Now she'll wipe the shelf off, but she doesn't take the shelves out, put them in the sink and wash them because growing up, she didn't have to do that.
Right.
I'm not saying that as a criticism. What I'm saying is the values that you gain as a kid, I think
stick with you.
They really stick with you because there's stuff that she does that I never considered important until I met her.
Well, and that's why I think your point is well taken. I think that there are probably things that are values that I have that I will try and instill in my children, but I don't know.
It's a hard one because I don't want to do too much to them.
Well, it's not just that. Sometimes I think I need to be looking around the bend for the values that my kids will need for the future that they're going to exist in and not the past that I existed in. And one of the things that I struggle with is, okay, what values that I learned going through the life that I lived are still going to be relevant to somebody going through an entirely different world with entirely different problems and challenges and technology and everything else.
My goodness,
so
this is good.
It's really important to me that I don't just pass down the values that are comfortable to me or that are familiar to me or that I personally find important, but are also going to be important for my kids. Now, there are some that I think are going to be universal. Things like working hard when it's appropriate to work hard. Like, I don't think there is any situation where being able to knuckle down and say, hey, this just got to get done, so we're going to get it done. Like, there is no universe where that's not ever going to be useful.
Yeah.
Like, that's always going to be a value. So there are going to be things where my kid is going to want to cry and quit. And I'll be like, hey, listen, I understand that you want to quit right now, but that's not something you can quit. You got to keep going. And when you come out on the other end, you're going to understand.
I told you I was going to get that tattoo. Channels don't quit.
Hey.
Yeah.
Listen.
Because that, Dad said
that's
that
on Tuesday night. And a curse.
He said that on Tuesday night.
Yeah,
I
know.
Well,
we don't quit no
jobs. Not without another job lined up. Like, hold
on. What's wild is...
Now, I mean, things happen. I'm not saying things don't happen, but yeah, come on now.
What's wild
Don't let nobody mess your money up.
Well, and listen, okay, because you were talking about how, like, that you getting that allowance really instilled in you, ooh, if I get this money and I just save it.
If I have a little bit of money when I get money again,
like, that feels so good.
That was the lesson I learned. It wasn't that I can't spend. It was that
it's nice to always have a little bit.
It's nice to, I remember, I'm not going to lie, I taught Halia that, where Halia used to say, I'm not broke. I mean, I got a couple dollars left. And I used to tell her, like, but doesn't it suck to not be able to get the stuff you want because you spend yourself down to nothing? You got $6 left. Oh, now I'm getting paid tomorrow. Yeah, but you have nothing. So what if you need something today?
Yeah.
So just save a little on the front end. And then when you get paid again, now you got, you're rolling money.
What's funny is
she ain't never been in no situation where she's so broke or so behind, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It ain't. You had times where you were really struggling.
Yeah.
Halia ain't never lived that life, ever.
And the wild thing is, flip side is, like, me, I'm not I gotta have money saved away, but I'm gonna take care of all of the necessities, and then whatever I have left, okay, now I'm gonna be planning all of my special activities around, okay, do I need to do all of this stuff now, or is this something that I can do better later on? So like a lot of times me and Justice plan our like vacations around our anniversary, because
us too.
When anniversary time comes, all of the vacationing, we're going to get it all done. All of the special activities, a lot of times right after vacationing, if we spend a little less than we expected to, like now that's activity money. That's art supply money. Mm-hmm. That's go get, new stuff for the house money. So because we're working on like a rotational system, I don't do a whole lot of like aggressive saving, because a lot of times I save for whatever emergency is coming up. Like that's what I'm doing. So I got all of these pockets of money that are just I don't want to see it, because I don't have the same intentional, like, I'm not going to spend my money to control this. Yeah, let's call it that. I don't have the same discipline.
Control, whichever one.
I don't have the same discipline about spending my money that you do. So
see, me, what I'm trying to teach myself right now, right, is, so I do the same thing. I have pockets of money. I have a house account that is not for the mortgage. It's not for anything except for if I break something, or like, let's say, like right now, I think we're going to get I'll order a new box spring or something for the bed. And I think I was considering, maybe I'll take some money out of the house account for that. I probably won't, but
knowing you know,
the problem that I have is I don't want to spend money even when I have it. So
like, I like seeing that number go up.
Right. Literally, that's it. Because, like, okay, for example, we go on the cruise. You know, I told you I save money every check. Just put a little money away.
Yeah.
And I do the calculation. Once I book the cruise, I do the calculation
for how much you need
for how many months. If I do X dollar for this amount of months, that will produce. I'm so sorry. That's gonna yell. Door. Sorry, can't do anything about that. Anyway, how many months is it gonna take? And then boom, pay off the cruise. So that when it's time to pay it off, I don't swipe it on the credit card and hope for 6 months I can pay it off. No, I'm not doing that. But the problem is, so what I do is I'll swipe it on the credit card, right, to get the cash back.
Right.
So you just swipe $4,000 or $6,000, whatever the price is.
And then you just take all the money you save and put it
drop it on the credit card. But, okay, now I got this account that has exactly or $100 more than I need. Maybe I don't need to take all of the money out. So instead of taking the $4,400 out, maybe I'll take out like $3,000.
And then you'll pay the rest of it all.
And I'll pay it all. And I'm like, Aaron, you have the money. Why not just pay the card off so that you... But me, I'm learning, like, that's Terry here to paint the porch. Mm-hmm. Because Terry's like, oh, yeah, you wanted to get your porch painted, right? I'm like, yeah. But I'm like, do I really want to pay and buy paint and pay all... And I'm like, Aaron, you want to get the porch painted. Just do it. You have the money. Just get the porch painted.
Don't be cheap.
You don't got to spend $1,000, but you have the money. Get the porch painted. Like, and I literally had to force myself. Like I just said, I don't even want to say out loud that we need a box spring. I don't even want to say it because that will tell me that okay, I'm going to go spend $150 and buy another box spring.
It's so I think this is a good place to close too, because one of the things that me and Justice have been talking about lately is we treat all addictions like to substances. I think in general, most normal people treat them the way that they should be treated. Hey, listen, like you got a medical situation going on. You are telling me you got to have 4 beers a day. That's not normal.
No, you have a problem, sir.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to you shouldn't be in a position where if you don't have this, like your life is diminished. Okay. Nothing outside of like family and social interaction should be a requirement. And obviously like food and air and, things.
Yeah, normal stuff.
A lot of times when you are addicted to other things, people like it doesn't register. So if you're addicted to video games, like that might not register as an addiction for some people. If you're addicted to watching that number go up, like to money,
right?
People don't treat it like what it is. So, and I think a lot of
I vacillate on that. So sometimes I can't tell if the reason why I am the way that I am is because I am afraid of the catastrophic happening, or if it's an addiction to having the money, right? Because sometimes, like for example, when Halia was in hospital that time, you might remember this. This was years ago. That ended up costing $4,500, and this was after the insurance. It was a $50,000 thing, and insurance paid almost all of it, but she had to pay. Well, we had to pay about almost $5,000,
right?
And I don't want to be in a position that it's like, oh, sorry, can't do it.
Well.
You know what I'm saying? So like that is also part of my fear.
Here's something that was said to me. Well, not said to me. Here's something that I saw in a video recently that has kind of sat on me since I saw it. Really, really wealthy people go bankrupt semi-regularly. They just declare bankruptcy as like a way to reestablish their money situation. So they'll put all their stuff in a trust, declare bankruptcy, get rid of all their debts, go get their money back out of their trust, and continue on like nothing happened. Thinking about it from that vantage point, what I have started to come to realize is the way that we, and when I say we, I mean like people in our social and economic class, and maybe even in like the Black community, right? We do not treat money like a thing that is actually just a tool. It's a lever. It should not be an in and of itself. The money is only there to represent all of the things that you can do either for yourself or for your family or for other people. So I think when we need to start treating it like an addiction is when the opportunity cost of you having all of that money for yourself versus all of the other people that could be like helped in tangible ways, and you still get everything that you need to have and a bunch of the things that you want to have. You every year you end the year with $1 million in your bank, and like there are a bunch of people around you who are starving or not having, or they need a surgery or they need cancer drugs. And like, you're like, no. I need to keep this $1 million in my bank. Cause what if something happens? What if I want a Lamborghini? Like, I think needs to be looked at more and more as, is there something wrong with you? And I really
For the record, I don't have $1 million, but I feel you. I feel the point, though. I take the point.
And again, because that's all relative. Like, if everybody is making $100,000 a year, $1 million ain't that much money in the scheme of things. It's not. So, it's not. But everybody ain't making $100,000 a year. So when I see somebody who's making $500,000 every year, and they're still like, I don't want to pay taxes, I start looking at those people weird, because the value of the money that you are hoarding at that point, when there are other people who have needs that are not being met. It's one thing if everybody has all of their needs met, or the majority of people have their needs met, and the people who aren't having their needs met, it is some specific individual thing that they're doing that's causing them not to have their needs met, and they are okay with it, because there are people who don't need houses. They don't want to live in a house. They want to be nomadic. They just want to travel around and couch surf and do that. Like, there are people who enjoy that sort of lifestyle. More power to them. But for all the people who want a house and can't get it, I think societally, community-wise, we need to start looking at treating hoarding as the problem that it is. And I hope that, like, when me and you look back on our experiences through life, a lot of the lessons that we get help us, empower us to take care of the people around us. Not always, it's not perfect, right? But a lot of the things that you do, like the ways that you hang out with granddad, the ways that you show up for the people around us, a lot of that is informed by you coming up and seeing the stuff that you saw and experiencing it the way that you did.
Yeah. And I think hoarding is kind of a dangerous thing. And hoarding isn't just, I have a lot of stuff in my house, right?
No.
So
I think hoarding money is a real problem.
And that's why I say, right now, what I'm learning is, even though this is probably the first time in my life that I feel like I've actually had money,
you have enough to be like, maybe
I can go get the porch painted,
right?
Just because, like, not just because it needs to be painted, but like,
you're officially middle class now. That's what it means.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's what that is.
Lower middle class.
Hey,
but the point is, I am learning right now. Like, and Halil had a big part of this. It's okay. Things are fine.
Justice taught me the exact same thing.
You can, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm serious, and I guess we can end. But I really do worry sometimes. Like, oh no, $6,000 bill. We need to have $6,000 in the bank. You know what I'm saying? Like, that type of stuff worries me, because Halil just will roll over and say, "Well, can we afford that?" And I'll be like,
I mean,
like, all these years, the answer has slowly progressed towards yes. From no, we can't afford that. Now we're getting to that point where
it's like,
maybe we can't afford that. Like, give me some time, but I got you.
What's funny is Justice. So I was always in a we ain't got no money sort of mindset.
Me too.
Okay. Part of the problem was we really genuinely did not have any money. Okay?
Yeah, us too. I told you that we now are like, I know a couple dollars.
That's my point. Is like reality was agreeing with me. It was not agreeing with the things that Justice was saying to me.
I was like the Batman of money. If you give me time to prep, I'll have the money.
I was like, can you please make this make
sense? I was like, talking about coming around the bed.
Right. Like, what, you got a grappling gun? Like, I don't understand. But yeah, like, Justice really sat me down one day and she was like, listen, like, I understand that you're concerned about us not being able to pay for stuff, but like, you got to relax.
Yeah, you can't be so concerned about it
that
we don't buy anything.
And you're making everything unfun because you're so stressed out. Like, it always works out. It's always okay. We have enough to take care of the stuff we got to take care of. And this other stuff, we'll just have to figure it out. It'll be okay. And I was like, you're kind of right. Our
Talia doesn't like it when I say it, but she taught me that everything's fine.
Yeah.
Like, she taught me that you don't have a perfectionist problem, right? Mm-hmm. And I have a problem where I want to do right so bad that I will
overdo it.
Do right. Like, one thing that drives me crazy is when she tells me something and then I do it and then she's not satisfied. Like, I can't function.
Listen, I understand.
So, and being a husband, that's like 80% of your job.
That's like, I hate it when Justice asks me, like, hey, or no, it's not even ask, because what she'll do is she say, ooh, I really got to do X, Y, Z. And then she starts making a list. And we've talked about this before. I do not like having unfinished lists just hanging out there.
Yeah.
It gives me stress. So, like, if I start making a list, that is a list that is getting done in the next hour to 3 hours.
How do you think I'm living right now? Aaron, I would like to eat this. And then I make it and then, ooh, I can't eat that.
And then you're like,
Anyway.
So she'll start making a list and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. She's like, I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm like, so why are we talking about it right now? Why are you saying it out loud? She's like, well, I just wanted to make a list for later. I'm like,
You hate me, don't you?
You don't love me. If you are making a list out loud in my presence and you don't want me to do anything about it, why? Why are you torturing?
It's because you hate me.
Obviously.
But yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, like I am slowly but surely coming to understand that a lot of the ways that we came up empower us to do a lot of things that other people can't do. But we still have to continue to learn and continue to incorporate new information.
That is also true. I think, and maybe next time I would like us to dig into, you said something about addiction earlier. We should talk about that.
We should.
And also talk about what lessons we do want to incorporate into the next generation.
Yeah. Because there's going to be some stuff that I do not want them messing up. Like, I need y'all to get this lesson.
There's going to be a lot of things that our parents taught us, that our grandparents taught us, that it's like, no, we have to include that.
Right.
But there are also going to be some stuff where I'm not teaching my kids that. I don't want them to feel that or say that or think that.
Right. Because it is outgrown its usefulness for whatever it was that it was instilled in us for.
So y'all look forward to that next time.
But anyway, this has been the Pensive Brother Podcast. I'm Elliot.
This is Aaron.
And we are out.